Namo Amida Buddha. Concluding thoughts on the suffering of samsaric existence. As we have seen in the description of the six realms, there is absolutely no place in samsara without suffering. Everything is a cause for suffering. Everything is multiplying suffering. And everything, even the intoxicating pleasures of the gods, contain the seeds of suffering. Quote, beings in hell suffer from hellfire. Pretas suffer from hunger and thirst. Animals suffer from being eaten by each other. Humans suffer from having a short life. Asuras suffer from wars and quarrels. And the gods suffer from their own mindlessness. In samsara there is never a pinpoint of happiness. End quote. Some say that life in the gods' realms is more desirable because of the immense pleasure we can find there. However, I would like to ask you, what if somebody offers you the most intense party with the best drinks, women or men, on a luxurious yacht for 3 days on the condition that after the party you will be burnt to death? Would you accept the deal? Would the pain you'll suffer by being burnt to death be worth the sweet and transient pleasures of 3 nights? This is similar to the various distractions of the gods' realms. When their time comes, gods themselves suffer intensely, as I've already described above in the section dedicated to them. If one reaches the highest point on the wheel of samsara, one will surely fall from there to the lower part after expending one's karmic merits in intoxicating pleasures. Just like a rich guy enters a casino with the attitude of a great lord and is treated well by everybody. But if he loses all his wealth at gambling, he will be thrown away like a beggar at the end. There is the significant story of the monk Nanda, who was very much attached to his wife and had no aspiration to renounce the world. Seeing this, Shakyamuni Buddha miraculously took him to a mountain, where he showed him a one-eyed monkey. He asked him, quote, tell me, Nanda, who do you find more beautiful, this monkey or your wife? End quote. Nanda replied immediately, my wife, of course. Then the Buddha transported him to a realm of the gods, where he showed him many beautiful mansions, where each god lived together with his assembly of young goddesses and enjoyed many pleasures and abundance. Then he took him to a place and a palace where there were many goddesses, but no god. When Nanda asked why, a goddess answered, there is a person in the human world, a disciple of the Buddha, whose name is Nanda, and who practices the way. The karma he thus accumulates will make him be reborn in this palace, where we will serve him faithfully. Nanda was very joyful, and when asked by the Buddha who he now thinks is more beautiful, his wife or the goddesses, he answered without any hesitation, the goddesses are far more beautiful. My wife cannot even compare herself with them. Then, when he returned to the human world, Nanda practiced the way even more seriously, so that he does not lose the chance to be reborn with the beautiful goddesses. After some time, the Buddha asked him if he wanted to go with him to visit the hells. Nanda agreed, and he was transported there by the Buddha's miraculous power. While visiting the various hells and seeing the horror and pain of the beings born there, he came across an empty pot filled with a blazing fire and a number of hell tormentors around it. When he asked, why is the pot empty, a hell tormentor answered, we are waiting for a person called Nanda, who is now practicing the way in the human realm in order to be born among the gods. After he enjoys many hundreds of years in that celestial place, his merits will run out, and he will be reborn here. This terrified Nanda so much that he pondered more deeply on the characteristics of samsara. Then, after realizing that there is no sense to aspire for a happiness that ends in the flames of hell, he awoke the aspiration to escape from all samsaric existence. We should really take to heart the story of Nanda and contemplate deeply the nature of samsara. Even if we did not see with our own eyes the lower or higher realms, a picture or the many descriptions made by Shakyamuni Buddha and the masters of various lineages should be enough to scare the hell out of us and make us wish to escape from it. Thus, let us never forget that in samsara, 1. There is no certainty. 2. we can never find satisfaction. 3. We are born and we die repeatedly, changing bodies after bodies, ad infinitum. 4. On the wheel of samsara, we will always go down after we go high. And 5. We have no true companions. All samsaric beings meet with these 5 general types of suffering. 1. What does it mean to have no certainty in samsara? It means, for example, that we are never certain our dear ones from today will remain dear to us in the next lives. Of course, we would like to be able to meet again and again with our good friends, parents, children, or wife after we die. But if we meet again with them in another life, and still we are not Buddhas, then this meeting might be of no real benefit to them or to us. It can even become a meeting of pain and sorrow, in which we surely won't recognize them. Because of our deluded minds, we might harm them or make them run from us. We and our loved ones have different karma, and after this life we will take different forms. But because of attachments to one another, we can still be close in space and time. For example, one of us might be born in the next life as a human being, while the other one, wife, husband, parent, friend, etc., can be born as an animal. Due to attachments, he or she can live around our house, but because we cannot see our previous lives, we're not able to recognize them. We can think of them as just a close dog or cow, but we cannot really give them much benefit. It can even be worse than this. In time, our feelings for him or her, or their feelings towards us, may change, and because of various circumstances, love can turn into hate. People who are now in a love relationship can hate each other after a few lives, or even in this life. So, until we become Buddhas, not only can we not give any benefit to our closed ones, but we can actually make them sink even further down in the ocean of suffering. Bodhisattva Nagarjuna said, quote, "For those in cyclic existence, there are no certainties, because fathers become sons, mothers become wives, enemies become friends, and the converse happens as well." End quote. Thus, if we truly care about them, we should make a commitment not to lose this life in vain, but to listen to the teaching again and again and receive faith in Amida Buddha. Only in this way, our aspiration to save all beings, especially those with whom we have karmic connections, will be fulfilled. 2. We can never find satisfaction in samsara. Bodhisattva Nagarjuna said, quote, "Each of us has drunk more milk than would fill the 4 oceans. Yet those in cyclic existence who act as ordinary beings are intent on drinking still more than that." End quote. Since the beginningless past, we have tried many ways to satisfy our desires. We have worked hard, fought hard, even killed or hurt others in order to find happiness, but still have never found it. Our unfulfilled desires and attachments need a new vehicle with every new life, and so we continue to run into an endless variety of forms as bodies, trying desperately to satisfy them. This is why we must ask ourselves, when will we finally learn that there is no real satisfaction in samsara and in our samsaric pursuits? When will we be finally able to say, stop? Why don't we get sick of this never-ending sorrow? Quote, "Just as a leper tormented by maggots turns to fire for relief, but finds no peace, so should you understand attachment to sensual pleasures." End quote. Kandrogaman said in his letter to a student, quote, "What being has not come into the world hundreds of times? What pleasure has not already been experienced countless times? What luxury, such as splendid white yak-tail fans, have they not owned? Yet, even when they possess something, their attachment continues to grow. There is no suffering they have not experienced many times. The things they desire do not satisfy them. There is no living being that has not slept in their bellies. So why do they not rid themselves of attachment to cyclic existence?" End quote. Master Ashwagosha said, quote, "Again and again, in hells, we drank boiling liquid copper, so much that even the water in the ocean does not compare. The filth you have eaten, as a dog and as a pig, would make a pile far more vast than Mount Meru, the king of mountains. On account of losing loved ones and friends, you shed so many tears in the realms of cyclic existence that the ocean could not contain them. The heads that have been severed from fighting one another, if piled up, would reach beyond Brahma's heaven. You have been a worm, and having been ravenous, you ate so much sludge that if it were poured into the great ocean, it would fill it completely. End quote. Shakyamuni Buddha said, quote, remember the infinite bodies which in the past you wasted senselessly on account of desire. As many times as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, you failed to please the Buddhas and ignored their teachings. End quote. Shinran Shonin also said, quote, under the guidance of Buddhas who appeared in this world, 3 times the sands of the Ganges in number, we awakened the aspiration for supreme enlightenment. But our self-power failed, and we continued to migrate. End quote. Quote, were it not for the ship of Amida's vow, how could I cross the ocean of painful existence? With minds full of malice and cunning, like snakes and scorpions, we cannot accomplish good acts through self-power, and unless we entrust ourselves to Amida's directing of virtue, we will end without knowing shame or self-reproach. End quote.